Hi and welcome chart artists. Beautiful Monday, start of the week. Let's analyze the price of Bitcoin here together. How much higher can we go? Or did we just make the lower high for continuation to the downside? Let's analyze the price of Bitcoin here together. I'll jump through a little bit of altcoins here, see where there's buying opportunities. And as always, if you'd like to trade with the best, go and sign up with my 3 favorite exchanges, easy user interfaces to use, great bonuses. Go sign up and let's trade together. Right, let's go through some market sentiment before we dive into the price of Bitcoin here. First up, Bitcoin halving countdown, 66 days remaining. Okay, most probably like 65 days now. When was that posted? 11th of Feb, yesterday. So 65 days estimated at the 18th of April, where the last block will be mined. Okay, so definitely something to look forward to. Let's see what happens in April. Can we still expect a deeper correction during March before the halving? Only time will tell. Next up, they are basically comparing other risk-on assets to Bitcoin. And as you can see, very similar price action where we had a parallel channel to the downside. We broke up, formed a little bit of a consolidation, and then moved up. Meta, same thing, and Bitcoin potentially lagging behind. So people are still calling for higher prices. Next, JP Morgan says ETH likely outperforms Bitcoin this year. ETH has been sleeping and is so behind the price action of Bitcoin. When is ETH going to wake up? The forgotten child. I think everyone is trading all the other altcoins, focusing on Bitcoin, and ETH might just have its moment where it's going to outperform Bitcoin, the child that everyone has forgotten. Next up, breaking: Russia and US in close fight for top crypto mining country position. So quite bullish. I remember a time where everyone was banning the mining of Bitcoin, and now people are fighting like, please come to my country. You can mine here, perhaps they lower the taxes, renewable energy available. So quite bullish news to see. Last up, breaking: Mr. Beast is holding Bitcoin with millions of dollars. Well, welcome to the party, Mr. Beast. I don't know where you have been and only caught to wake up now. Right. Let's dive into the price of Bitcoin. Okay, right, here on the daily time frame from Bitcoin's perspective, you can see we are still in lower high territory. Right, and we will zoom into the smaller price action and see, can we still expect momentum to the upside, or are we going to start making a little bit of a deeper correction from here? At the moment, also what I wanted to show is that I'm not sure if you've heard about the moon phases, where people claim that the moon phases has a 70% accuracy rate. So just looking at the price action over here, where it basically shows you a full moon, new moon, full moon, new moon, or the other way around, doesn't really matter to me. But you can see that as soon as you print a full moon, price moves up. You print a new moon, price moves down, or it consolidates. Full moon, price moves up. Same here. And when we printed this new moon over here, you can see how it pushed price down. And then with the full moon, it pushed price up. Right. Will this time be different? We just printed a new moon, and will we see a deeper correction to the downside? Perhaps still a claim of this high, then for further correction to the downside. So just something to keep in the back of your mind. We have printed a new moon, and from an accuracy perspective, it has proven to be 70% correct. But as always, no indicator is 100% accurate. Right, let's take the moon phases out the way and dive into a little bit of smaller price action and see what is happening more locally. Let's go on to the 4-hour. Okay, zooming into this price action, the question is, and I've highlighted this in my previous YouTube updates as well, is to say that, well, was this the top or a potential 5th wave? Let me just put my magnet off there. And this is an A, B, and we are going to see a deeper C wave to the downside. Right, unfortunately, if this is a B wave, B waves has many targets. Right, it could be where we are right now. We could turn around, we could potentially claim the high and then turn around, or we can have those B flat targets where you take it from the high to the low, you drag it across, or your fib, and we still have B flat targets here on top that we could also find strength to move towards the upside, claiming these levels for then a deeper correction to the downside. So only time will tell where we are going to correct. But for now, what I see is we could still potentially turn around here for a deeper correction during March, and then perhaps after the halving in April, we will see some upwards momentum climbing in again. Right, the one thing that I'm also watching is to say, let's just take the scribble out, a couple of scenarios that can play out here. What if this is a 1, 2, 3 to the upside? Okay, you take your fib, 1, 2, reverse it, You can see currently we are being rejected here by the 1.236, just struggling to break through. We've got a couple of weeks outside, but from a swing failure perspective, this is typically what swing traders will look at, is to say it's not breaking through the level successfully. I enter, place my stop above the wick, and aiming for lower prices to come. Right. These are C-wave rejection areas where if this is an A, so this is an A, B, C, you can have a 3-wave structure inside of a C-wave where this is a A, B, C inside the B wave, where we can currently reject where we are right now, even tapping the 1.382 for a possible rejection to the downside, claiming the liquidity above this high and then falling down. Right, so the question is this an A, B, C, and where are we going to turn around in this area? Let's zoom into this price action and see what is going on here. Okay, cool. I'll put my stuff on and let's see. Right, if you've not watched my previous YouTube update where I explained my simple one-line strategy where I've made significant gains on this entire move up, playing the little breakouts, and if you haven't watched it, please go watch that video where I go into detail about the simplest trading strategy that you can use to play momentum like this to the upside. Okay, for now, analyzing the price action that we have over here is to say that last trade I took was breaking this trend, claiming the high, which we did. We claimed the high, nice little profit from this trade, and now it looks like price is starting to slow down a little bit. We had a little bit of a fake out of this trend, nevertheless we claimed the high, and another fake out, and we lost the support. We've already come down, retested it, and it doesn't look like we are losing the support, so perhaps a little bit of a range inside here before we see potential breakout to the upside. Two scenarios that I am watching is to say, well, what if this was an A, B, and we have now made a C wave to the downside? So you will take your fib extension, you'll say, well, if this was the top to the bottom, you drag it across, you reverse it, and you can see that we have hit flat B wave targets. Okay, expanding B wave targets to perfection. 1, 2, 3, 6, 1, 3, 8, 2 to perfection, and then we roll down. So this is potentially a C wave where you have an A, B, C. Okay, now to go and work out the C wave target, we can take this out and we say, well, if this is indeed an A, B, and we reverse it, you will now see that we have tapped the 1.618, which is generally considered a maximum C wave target, to perfection. And I do think we have some bullish CVD supporting this potential move now to the upside. Okay, but for us, for now, to remain bullish, what you want to see is us reclaiming the support that we've lost for that potential breakout to the upside to even come and claim the yearly high. Okay, if I zoom in here, go back onto the 1 hour, this yearly high. And I think it's going to be very important to see how we react with this yearly high. Is it going to be a swing failure pattern? You just take the brushes out. An SFP, okay, where you make a double top, even a triple top. You get acceptance back below the level for that ultimate correction to the downside. Okay, so it's very important how price reacts at each level. Okay, I also have, let me switch on my daily, weekly levels and some of my today analysis. Okay, so important levels to watch is to say that if we do find strength to the upside, okay, let's just take some of the scribble out here. Definitely this yearly high as a potential SFP, and further up we have a daily, weekly, and a 1.618 levels that completely align. That's basically where the planets are aligning. So definitely if we do find strength here to the upside, these are important levels that I will be watching for potential SFP. And this red box that I have on here, up on top here, if you zoom in to, let's go on to the 4 hour, you go on to the 4 hour, you take your fib extension from the top to the bottom, you drag it across, you reverse it, and you will see that this box is where I have B flat targets marked out. So if we do still find momentum here to the upside, it's either an SFP, okay, from the yearly highs, or we find momentum here to the upside to come and reject at one of these levels. Okay, for then continuation to the downside, or we find strength to come and hit the 1.618, which could mean that we are going to retest the high as support for continuation to the upside. So nothing is guaranteed. We might not even have that deeper correction that everyone is expecting, but it's important that we keep an eye at what happens at these levels. Right, the one thing I also wanted to show is going back into the smaller time frames. Areas of confluence that I'm watching for right now is for bullish momentum to continue to the upside. Like I said, you want to see us break or flip this resistance back into support, break this trend for continuation to the upside, and then we'll observe price reaction as we get to the yearly highs. if we do not find strength to break up here and we come down, this point, previous day point of control, when you switch on your session volume profile, just wait for it to load up, you will see here by the previous day, we have a little bit of a point of control. And what is important about this level for me for now, for a possible bounce, is when you take a fib from the low to the high, it has confluence here with a 0.78, and then here by this consolidation where we're currently finding support very close to the 0.618. Okay, but for bullish momentum to remain to the upside, I want to see us flip this support or resistance for now back into support for continuation to the upside. Should we not find the strength, we could find ourselves back here at the 786 for a potential bounce, even a rejection. And the most interesting level here is that I left this tapped daily level here because it can act as support if we do find further momentum here to the downside, purely based on what I'm seeing on liquidity as well. So when you look at liquidity, let's just open this up, you can see where this daily level is. Massive liquidity has built up here. So if we do find strength here to the downside or momentum to the downside, definitely an area or a bouncing area that I will keep in mind for then continuation to the upside, grabbing all the liquidity, then go back. Okay, that is it for Bitcoin. Let's go through a couple of alts. I've been watching Doge here for some time now. If I go into the 4 hour just to show everyone the market structure that I'm looking at, is to say that, well, Doge has been in this upwards momentum. Let's go here onto the daily. Okay, just take some of these fibs out. You can see I've got my alarm set here. I have been waiting for Doge to consolidate. Great accumulation zone where you can see we've basically accumulated above these highs, right? Formed a nice little trend, and now anticipating a potential breakout to the upside. Okay, when you then zoom in to smaller time frames here on the 15-minute, this is what I've been watching on Doge, is to say one trick of the trade is that this little fake out was anticipated by whenever you have high volume like this kicking in and the candle does not close above the trend line, it usually spells a fake out. And this is why I did not play this breakout of trend, because in order for momentum to continue to the upside, you want to see a closing candle with high volume above the trend. What happened here is we had a high volume candle not closing above the trend, and then we found a rejection and momentum to the downside. So for now, I've got this little momentum that I'm tracking here, and hopefully finding support here by the home line, the momentum line, for a potential breakout of this trend and even the trend above. Also, together with Doge, I'm also looking at Bitcoin dominance, and as you can see, we are finding strength here from a Bitcoin dominance perspective, meaning liquidity is on the side of Bitcoin. But I do see here by the 786 and together with this diagonal trend line, a possible rejection that I'm anticipating, is to say that if Bitcoin still finds, or dominance still finds strength here to the upside, we could have a little bit of a retracement, which could be very bullish for the alts. Right, but for now, dominance is still on the side of Bitcoin, so we'll just have to observe what's going to happen here. The other scenario, of course, we have to look at both sides of the coins, is that we find strength above this trend. We backtest it as support for continuation to the upside for that 60% mark that some of the traders are also eyeing, which will then leave the altcoins behind. Okay, but for now, I am anticipating a little bit of a rejection over here for a nice altcoin rally. And some of the alts that I am watching, like I've just pointed out, is Doge, which we've just gone through. Also, very interesting, Link. Okay, when I look at Link on the daily time frame, what is interesting to me is to see that we've been consolidating. I mean, this was a great accumulation zone down here. Right, currently finding momentum where we've struggled to break through this high. You can see wicked into it, and then now finally we have flipped this resistance into support. Right, we are currently now above these highs. So for Link to remain bullish, you really want to see us hold this support, not flip it back into resistance. So perhaps a scenario is that we find strength, we retest it as support for continuation to the upside, or we just move up from where we are right now. What is interesting, also what I wanted to point out about this fib pool, or let me rather say the one concerning thing about where we are right now is that we are currently here by the 1.618. And if this is an A, B, C to the upside, the 1.618 is generally a rejection area. So we can reject from where we are right now to potentially come and retest the support for then momentum to the upside. Or if this is a 1, 2, 3 to the upside, like I always mention, the third waves love the 618 targets, where we can go to the 2618, 3618, 4618, and so forth. Right, what's interesting about this move is that we are currently consolidating above the 1.618, which could spell bullish momentum for Link. Remember the dominance that I've just pointed out as well? Okay, what is interesting about the 2.618 is you can see there has been support. It has offered support here in the past when you look to the left. Right, support, you broke through, you came back, you offered support, failing to break through, and then you had the momentum to the downside. The 3618 also has confluence with this high, so I do see that if Bitcoin has that dominance that goes down, even with that small little correction, we could see a link that goes to $28 potentially. $24 to $28. We'll just have to see how this play out, but potentially still at the moment it looks bullish. Okay, last altcoin on my list, I am watching Atom. Atom, one of the favorite, also one of my favorite altcoins that I like to trade. As you can see, if I go here onto the 12-hour, let's just zoom out a bit, show everyone where the market structure is. You can see I've been tracking this coin for quite some time. My alarm went off when we broke out, some nice profits in the bag, and now what I'm watching is how low is this going to go. So when you take a FIB from the low to the high, where are possible bouncing areas? We are currently here by the 50% FIB level, and I am expecting a bounce here by the 1.618, where these lows will offer support. Okay, you can see we've been supported, and potential bouncing area. But to make it simple, as always, I've got my little trend tracking the momentum to the downside, is to say that, well, perhaps when we break this trend with high volume, that could potentially be a ticket for a nice little long entry here on Atom. Okay, right. If you want the best trading strategy for your long-term portfolio, go check out this video right now. Until the next time, cheers for now.